And today I'm going to do something that I actually don't like doing, and that will be programming. If you don't know, I'm a game developer, aspiring game developer in Tokyo, Japan. I started off with like Flash, ActionScript, and RPG Maker and stuff like that. Then I moved on to iOS development. And since I got tired of always trying to switch screen sizes and trying to keep up with Apple's constantly changing, specifications for their phones, I decided to move over to full-time Unity, like quite recently. What you're looking at right now is you're looking at my homepage. So I do have some games that I've created that you can like play on itch.io. This one's like kind of fun, Quest of the Gummy Witch. If you're interested in any of my previous projects, you can go here to itch.io and you can check out my current game, which I'm going to be kickstarting this year for CDULO The Outer Rim, or you can check out some of my other projects. But I'm more of an artist than a storyteller. Oh, this is my online store, by the way. But I'm more of an artist and a storyteller. Programming is a little bit lower on my priority list. I don't really like it. One, I'm dyslexic and dyscalculic, and two, I suck at math. But I do realize that if I'm going to become a full-time game developer, which is kind of my goal for this year, that I am going to have to invest more time into learning how to program faster. So I do program most of my games and most of my projects, but it just takes me freaking forever. Which is why I've decided to, kind of challenge myself to make a few, start making weekly game projects. Most of my games are like more fleshed out because they're more story based. So they're not really one-off. I intend to expand on them in most cases. This Quest of the Gummy Witch game does actually have a story, like a full story and stuff like that. The game is uncompleted, but it's got a storyline and stuff like that. So those are the games that I like to focus on, like story-based games. And then you'll notice that on my online store, I actually have products related to the games that I create. So all of the original products from each of the HIO games that I've created. So I would like to learn how to program faster, and that's why this year I decided to take on the challenge of trying to create at least one or two games per week. So that's what I'll be doing today. And let's see. I'm also kind of new to Twitch streaming. Oh, here's some of the artwork that I'm working on for my current game. But since I'm also kind of new to Twitch streaming and stuff like that, this will be a good way for me to learn how to make videos and kind of do more tutorial videos instead of recording stuff all the time. So, I think what I'm going to start off with today is I'm going to try to start off with a relatively simple game. So I don't laugh. I know I'm laughing at myself, but my artwork is actually better than this, so like, don't laugh. Um, Anyway, this is the type of game that I'm going to try to create today. It's going to be like I normally I do like a 2D platformers, but I think today I'm going to try to do something that I haven't really done before, and that's going to be like a point and click game. So like where you just kind of click around the screen and you have like enemies shoot at you and stuff like that, right? Sounds pretty simple, but like I said, coding takes me forever. Yeah, this will be like a player gonna have to navigate these areas and deal with these enemies, deal with some obstacles, and then I might expand on it later. All right, without further ado, I guess that's what you would say. I will go into Unity, and I'm right now for this build I am using a Unity 19.4 because it seems to be the most stable version out there. I screwed up using 20.3 for my most recent games, and it kind of didn't work out well with the WebGL situation. I don't know if anybody else is having a problem with that. And I'm also checking my Twitch channel, so give me a second to see if this is actually picking up, because I have had some problems with Twitch. Okay, yeah, I'm streaming. Yeah, I have had some problems with Twitch recently as well. Alright, so let me go back up here. And I am going to be checking my phone and stuff because since I suck at coding, uh, generally suck at coding. I mean, it just takes me forever. When I'm in the mood, I'm in the mood, and I can actually get stuff done. But just coming up with code and stuff off the top of my head, that is not my forte. I'm the guy who comes up with the story and the artwork usually, right? So Yes, see, for any of you who might be trying to chat with me, I'll probably be busy, so I'm not really going to be typing in the chat window because I'll be looking at my notes on my iPad. So I will try to answer anything that you might have for me, verbally. All right, so let's get started with this. So I've got my empty Unity scene with like not too much in it. I've got assets and stuff like that. Usually, when I start a project, I will go ahead and make a couple of folders that I think that I might need. So I'll go ahead and create a scripts folder because I know I'm going to need that. And tonight I'm just going to try to work out the basic layout of this game, kind of like the skeleton of it. So I'll need animations. I'll need a prefabs folder. So a lot of times if I don't create these in the beginning, I kind of forget. Prefabs, and what else? And then I will need a sprites folder, yeah. So, Alright, so there we go. So, I was playing around with Unity before, but I'm kind of relatively new to actually doing it, like trying to do it professionally full-time. So I was on Objective-C and Xcode for a while, and Flash, and I'm still using Flash basically. I mean, I'm using Adobe Animate for a lot of my artwork. So for this game, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to create a few shapes, because right now my project doesn't have any shapes in it. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go ahead and click the oval tool, which I mean I could have just hit O. I'm gonna create a simple one of these guys. That'll be the player. Rectangle tool. And one reason I'm doing this is because I need to work on my speed for programming, because like I said, it just takes me freaking forever to do anything. Alright, and for this polygon tool, I think I'm gonna go ahead and make this triangle. So I'm gonna switch this to 3 down here. Ew. Yeah. Oh, I can rotate this anytime I want. So, I'll go ahead and hit Q on that one. Yeah, get over here and get Q'd. Yeah. Hit Q on this guy. All right, and hey, we have most of our, playable assets. All right, so this one I'm gonna go ahead and hit F8 and turn this into a, circle, circle. Movie clip. I like doing a lot of my artwork in Animate because I want to be able to use it for different media outside of games. So you saw my online store. A lot of my online store artwork is actually done in here as well, and that way I can change the poses for characters and stuff like that. Okay, so we have our square. And I can't spell square. I got a new PC that I'm still kind of, well, not really new anymore. I mean, I'm still kind of learning how to use it. No, I don't want to use Japanese. Leave me alone. Alright, by the way, I'm based in Tokyo, Japan, if anybody's wondering. Triangle, and it's still trying to switch me over to Japanese. Knock it off. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'm just going to take these 3 basic shapes, and I'm going to export them out. So, export PNG sequence 2. This is the name of the Kickstarter project. So I'm working on a game called the CDULO, The Outer Rim. But for this one, I think I'm just going to create a new folder and call it base sprites. Yeah. And this folder is not in my Unity project, of course, so it's just me, just like a temporary holding spot for these overly huge graphics that I'm creating right now. Alright, and let's go ahead and export this one as well. And now, the reason I'm doing these in Animate actually is I noticed that my version of 19.4 has kind of a deficiency for graphics that are included, right? So if normally I would go up here and I go to create, maybe create 2D object and a sprite and stuff like that. But if you look at my options here, I've only got a few options in here, so, and I don't really want to use those, so that's kind of why I'm gonna go ahead and import my own sprites in here. Alright, so let's go here, and let's go to here, and base sprites, and I'll go ahead and drag these guys up in here. So this is how I do a lot of my 2D artwork. Most of my 2D artwork actually starts on my iPad, and then I just redraw it in Adobe Animate. to make sure I have more options for what I want to do with it. All right, so this new sprite up here will be our player. So I'll go ahead and change this to circle, and I'll name this guy player. All right, and I'll go ahead and give this a tag of player. And sometimes I even add a layer of player. I don't know why I do that. I just do it. So, player. It just makes me feel safe for some reason. Uh, so, alright, so we got our player here, who is huge, I think. So I'm going to cafe and shrink this guy down a lot. For the game that I'm currently making, the screen resolution size of that is huge, so that's why I'm making like all of my graphics huge in Animate. So I'm going for full HD on that one. So that's why these graphics came out a little bit big. All right, and let's see. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this character move. So like I said, I normally don't do point and click type of games. This will actually be my first one, I think. So mostly I do like the platformer runner types that are controlled by the keyboard. So I'm gonna have to create a new script, and I think I'm gonna click to move. Modifier. Okay, yeah, click to move. And yeah, yeah. All right, so we got our click to move. Yay. Alright, and now here comes the coding part. So, got a blank screen, click to move, and now let's see what I've got to do. So in order to get this like circle to follow my mouse, which is kind of what I wanted to do, I'm going to have to first create a few variables. So I'm going to be looking at my notes here. So variable, and I tend to do this just to remind myself, yeah, it's just a habit, funk. So, in case I have like really super huge long scripts, which I normally do, by the way, because so first I'll need to make a speed variable, so that'll be a public float, and that'll be speed, and I'll set this to 5f right now, and that'll be the speed that the character moves around the screen, and then I'll need to create a target, which will be a private vector 3. Private vector 3. Even though I'm making a 2D game, this will be a vector 3. So this will be a target. Yeah, I'll just name it target for now, because I was gonna name it player, but I might need the player in the enemy script. So I kind of don't want to I don't want to confuse myself. So, all right. And now, so I've got these two variables, which are just for basic like speed and like the speed of the character and identification of the target. Basically, I guess I could put some notes here so I can remind myself. So, speed of character, movement. My other keyboard was larger, so that's why I'm having trouble typing on this new M1 Mac. And identification of the target, I guess we could call that. Alright, so I'm going to the function, and let's see, functions, I've got my start function, which is probably what I'm going to need to use here. So, I take notes very sloppily, so I have like a lot of games that I've taken notes from, but I can't really like, I haven't really organized them, so that's why I keep on referring to them so much. So this will be like target equals, so I'll need to get to transform position. So this is where my circle is at now, or where my player is at now, currently. And then I'll need to, in the update function, this will like update itself every frame to kind of check to see if anything has moved or changed or transformed or changed color or whatnot. So this will be an if, and yeah, if, I don't like it when it puts my brackets down there like that. If input dot, oh, okay, so this will be like how I want to move the character. So I'm going to be using my handy dandy like mouse, probably the left click this time. Yeah, left click, because and that leaves me the option of using the right click button for shooting if I want to. So I'll be like get mouse button down, and since I'm using the left click button, that'll be a 0. All right. So, shit. All right. Right, and now let's see what I have to do next. Oh, I have to get the target. Okay, so I have to get the camera to kind of focus on the target, right? So this will be target equals. So I have to define basically where the camera's looking. Camera dot main, and I only have one camera in here so far. So on my other project, on my current project, I have like virtual cameras and all kinds of shit set up that I don't really know how they work, but I'm just using tutorials. Screen to world point, and that will be input dot mouse position, and that will here. Right, so yeah, so this will be like this will make the target kind of pair with the screen based on the mouse position. I think that's how I would explain that. Target.z is equal to transform.position .z. Okay, so this is a 2D game, so I'm not going to be using the Z axis for like moving away from the player or moving deeper into the screen, I guess, not for depth. So I'm just going to set that to this right here. And then what else do I have to do? All right, and then transform dot position. I cannot spell on this damn thing. Dot position equals vector 2. Now this will be a vector 2 or vector 3, sorry. Vector 3 as well, and this will I'll use the move towards. So this is a nice good thing about Unity and like and using C# because it Unity does include these little functions and methods to where like that are kind of shortcuts. So move towards will just like I don't really have to like program anything for the do any coding for the player to actually start moving towards the cursor because it's already kind of got this built in. And it automatically fills it in for you too. So okay, so this will be move towards what? This will be transform dot position and target, and this will I'll multiply this like speed. So this will be move towards the towards the target. What are you doing? Move towards the target. You know, based on where my mouse is has clicked, and this will move with the speed that I specify later. And then I'm gonna do this with time dot delta time, and that basically means that it'll move based on a certain, I guess, frame rate. So in layman's terms, I guess people who have faster computers or faster processors won't necessarily get a speed advantage. So it should move about the same time for everyone, regardless of which computer they're playing on. All right, and let's see if this script is correct. So let's save this script. So every time I screw up a script, I'm gonna do the African what is it, palm bearer dance. So if the script doesn't work, you guys get to see that dun da 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 dun dun da 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 da. Alright, I got a lot of shit open on my computer, by the way. And yes, I am playing League of Legends, leave me alone. Alright, so alright, let's see if this works. No, like yeah, my computer is a bit slow because like I said, I'm kind of doing quite a bit with it right now. Alright, yay, he moves, he's alive. Alright, so there we go. That is how I create my simple like player click movement script. All right, so you got this guy in here, but he has absolutely nothing to do. He's just kind of bored in this little blue space, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss him in a partner. So we're gonna go to my sprites down here, and where'd my sprites go? Did I put these in my scripts? I put them in the wrong folder. That doesn't help. Alright, there we go. So now I put these guys in the correct folder. Like, man, what you doing? So I'm going to drag this guy out here. And again, he's like super huge. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink him down as well. And I could just go ahead and like put in 0.1 or something like that. I'll put in 0.15. Actually, no, make it 0.2. Yeah, 0.2. God damn, that's bigger than I thought. Okay. Yeah, 0.2. I forgot I'm still using like HD resolution, so that should have been like 0.12. I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this will be our enemy. So I'll go ahead and name him enemy. Enemy. Alright, and now I'm gonna go ahead and create an enemy tag. Because why not? Alright, so enemy, save, and then click on enemy, make him my enemy. And also I tend to add an enemy layer. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Enemy, there we go. Alright, so I think, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go Star Wars colors with blue and red. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go Star Wars colors with blue and red, so for now. Alright, so I'm gonna make him blue and make him red. It's like, that's racist, but you know, a lot of movies do it, so. Alright, so red guys are always the bad guys. Alright, so now I've got like this player who can kind of dance around this guy, but this dude ain't doing nothing. So what I need to do is I need to make this enemy move somehow. And to do that, the type of movement that I want for the enemy, so in this game, the player will not have any attack ability at the moment. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Normally I always give the player a gun or something to kind of like defend himself with, but in this game I think I'm just going to leave him a little bit helpless. So I think I'm going to have it to where the enemies can shoot and can kind of follow the player and kind of move around, but to where the player kind of has to die. So this would be more like an infiltrator type game, I think. Alright, so I'm going to create a new script for this enemy down here, and this will be enemy, yeah, you want to do enemy, or I might want to make another enemy, so I'll like put it chasing enemy. Yeah, not chancing enemy, chasing enemy. Yeah. So yeah, this enemy is going to kind of chase him, I think. Or he'll have the option to chase him, I should say. Right? And let's see. Let me open my chasing. Instead of chasing Amy, I've got chasing enemies. Haven't even watched that movie. Alright, so let's see. I have a enemy script that has no function. So let me add my variable, then let me add my so if you ever run any code with these two misspelled, that's probably me. Alright, so let's see. Of course, for this one, I'm going to need a public float, and that will be for speed. So basically, anything that's moving on the screen is going to need a speed variable. I'm also going to need a... I do want... I don't want the enemy to just run up and crash into the player all the time. I want him to be able to kind of stop and shoot at a distance. So I think I am going to need a couple of variables to make him stop, and a couple of variables to indicate where he can kind of attack or where he can fire from. So that will be stopping distance, right? So that'll be a public float. Public float stopping distance. Alright, so public float stopping distance. I could have him like, if the player gets too close, I could have him run away as well, but public float. Run away. Retreat distance. All right. Now it's just gonna put run away. Okay, I might not want that though, because I mean, I'll leave this as an option. Maybe I'll add it in later, right? So I'll go ahead and put it into the code, but I might just turn it off, right? So that'll be my retreat distance. And then this player, or this enemy, will be able to shoot the player. So I think I will need a public, that will also be a public float. That will be time the public float, time between shots. Alright, and then that'll be a public. Why do you keep on doing that? Oh, because you didn't add your thing here. Alright, so public float start time between shots. And most of my coding I actually learned from a place called Blackthorn Prod YouTube channel. Blackthorn Prod, and like I'm taking a look at some Thomas Brush tutorials, but I like Thomas Brush's tutorials more for the marketing and the sales and stuff like that. I like Blackthorn Prod for the actual programming and the artwork. I mean, I like Thomas Brush's artwork as well, but he's a little kind of salesy, which is good, you know, which is what I need because I suck at selling my own shit. But but for art and for programming, I think Blackthorn Prod is a little bit easier for me to understand as a beginner. So I'm using, my notes are based on his tutorials, so go check those out. Alright, so I'm also going to need a transform. So this will be a private transform for the player. Alright, and that will be like where the player is hanging out at. For start, I will need a player. I'll need to identify the player, so that'll be like a get component. Game object. Game object, and this will be get component. Find game object with tag. So before I screwed this up, because I was wondering why my code wasn't working, and it had like find game objects with tags, and that really confused me because I thought it should work anyway. Right, so we've got, and this will be player, of course. Which is good because we only got like one player in the screen. So my current game actually has 7. Well, you'll be able to swap between 7 different characters, but I'm trying to keep them all on the same player script. I'm not sure if that shit's gonna work, but you know, I'm trying it anyway right now. All right, so that'll be my start, and then in my update function, what I need to do, I need to say if vector 2 dot distance. So I'm always going to be referring to my notes because like programming is not my favorite thing to do. Transform dot position. I mean, I know some guys who are like really like into code and they can do all this shit from the top of their head, and I mean that takes a lot of talent, but I am not that person. So position, and this will be greater than stopping distance. Yeah, I'll put that one here for right now. Greater than stopping distance, and yeah, go ahead and bracket this out before I forget. All right, so if none is greater than stopping distance, and I can't read my notes sometimes, so okay, then this will be like transform dot position equals vector 2 dot move towards. All right, so we're gonna use the same move towards, and that will actually make the enemy move towards the player this time. So let's see, we're gonna go with move towards. Okay, So I'm using a lot of transform dot position transform dot position dot and then instead of target dot position, I'm going to be because we use target dot position for the mouse, so we're going to be using player dot position for the enemy, because the enemy isn't responding to the mouse, it's responding to the player. What the hell did I just do? All right, so player dot, that should be player dot position, yeah. Player dot position. I can't use that shortcut, huh? And this is why I need to practice coding. All right. Pull. I also need to practice spelling. All right. Player dot position. All right. And then this will be speed, and this will also be like time dot delta time. All right. And then after that, I'm gonna need an else, I guess. Else. Is that else or else if? Else if. Okay, I'll put else if. Okay. Else if vector 2 dot distance is basically they're kind of the same. Okay, distance is transform dot position player dot position. Okay, then is less than stop. Okay, so this is less than stopping distance. And vector. I don't think I want to put that retreat distance in here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to put a retreat distance in here at the moment, because I commented it out up there. Less than stopping distance. Okay, we'll leave this one here for now. Less than stopping distance, and I guess like that will be form dot position equals this dot transform dot position. Okay. Do I even need this else if? I think I might not need this else if at the moment, because I'm not gonna use like yeah, I'm not gonna be using the retreat distance. Oh, okay, I'll go ahead and code it out anyway, because I guess it's good to overcode and then like just comment out later if I don't need it. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do the stopping distance. Okay. So I'll go ahead and put the and vector 2. Damn it. Vector 2 not the distance is transform dot position player dot position and that will be send retreat I'll go ahead and have to uncomment this guy. So I can leave the variable up here. I might not necessarily use it though. Just leaving it in here for an option. Retreat distance. Okay, and then that will be this one right here. All right, and let's go back over here. All right, and then I'll add another else if, and nope. Else if, and I guess I can type on vector 2 dot distance vector 2 dot distance is form dot position as player dot position, and this will be greater than I'll put within retreat distance. Then what happens? Okay, transform dot position equals the vector 2 dot move towards. Okay, transform dot position player dot position speed times time dot delta time multipass delta time. Okay, there we go. So now I think I need another if though. Right, so that should be if hold on. Hold on, I just got an email from somebody. So I do have an online store, so you're gonna see me like checking messages every now and then. Okay, yeah, that's not from a customer though. All right, so if time between shots. So this is setting up the enemy shooting. So the ability to shoot at the player. All right, so if time between shots. Equals 0. Then so basically if there's no time between shots, he can shoot again. Right, so that'll be instantiate. I like to instantiate stuff. So instantiate projectile not transform. Now I'm instantiating a projectile even though it's not there because I know that I'm going to have a projectile because I need something to shoot the player with. So that's why I'm kind of putting it up in there. So quaternion dot identity. It sounds like the name of a movie. Like Born Identity, quaternion dot identity. And why the hell am I putting a bracket there? All right. Alright, and then time between shots will equal start time between shots. Alright, cool. So it's still going to give me an error because of this projectile thing. That projectile, what the hell are you talking about? So, else, time between shots equals equals time dot delta time. Right, so now it's like the code kind of wondering is like, dude, where's your projectile thing at? So that will be a game object. So I'll go ahead and create public game object, and this will be projectile. And the reason I'm setting this as public is because we're going to define this in the Unity inspector anyway. So let's see, am I getting any errors? So I really hate coding sometimes. I really get into it sometimes when I'm in the mood. But either way, I just need to get faster at it. So, yeah. So I suck at coding, so I'm gonna make that your problem. So that's why I'm making these videos. Alright, and do I have any errors? Oh, I have no errors. But I also have no like objects to shoot at the player either. Dun 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 dun. Alright, so I've got my player and I've got my enemy. So right now, let's see, I've got speed, stopping distance. I think I'm like retreat distance. I don't think I'm gonna put anything. So speed, I'm gonna give him. But I think the player is a 5, so I'm gonna give this guy a 3. Stopping distance, I'll give him a 3, and retreat distance, screw that. Time between shots will be a. I'll give him. I'm gonna go 3 down the board. Okay. Start time between shots and projectile. I have nothing. All right. So I think I'm gonna need to create a projectile for this guy. So I am going to go back to my handy dandy. Handy dandy sprites, and I think my projectile. Oh, okay. I'll be nice. I'll give him a nice little red circle. And this will be projectile 1. I can't spell for shit today. Okay, projectile 1. Alright, and this will be red because it's evil. Everything evil must be red. Alright, red, but not that damn big. Alright, so make him a little. Okay. A little bit bigger than that, of course. Not that damn. So. Yeah, just big enough for us to see him because we're going to change the graphics for this anyway. So the programming is stuff that I hate, but the graphics is stuff that I like. So, and I think I'm going to go ahead and make a script for this projectile as well. So, because right now, if I hit play, you'll notice that I've got my character can move around, and this red square should be chasing him. Okay, yeah, so red square is chasing him, and it's stopping. Okay. Okay, cool. Yay! So our game is finished. Woohoo! Alright, but, this projectile ain't doing shit. So it's just kind of sitting down here like, dude, what am I supposed to do? I can even run through this guy, and, like, I get no punishment at all, so. Alright, so now I'm going to have to create a projectile. So, projectile script, that is. And if you notice, I haven't even saved this project yet, so I guess that would be a good idea. So, I'm going to go to scene, and I'm going to go to simple scene, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save on this guy. Yeah, I'm just going to leave him named the simple scene because that just makes sense. Alright, so, let's see, the variable projectile, I know that, damn it. Alright, so, here's our projectile. Okay, that's a little bit too. I'll make him yellow instead. Yeah. Just because having too much red on the screen is kind of boring. Alright, and so now I'm gonna have to add another script, and this will be my projectile enemy projectile script. Yeah, so enemy projectile script. Alright, and I'll go ahead and open this up. Okay, so for a projectile, it's going to need to be able to detect this player, and it's also going to need to know where it's being shot from. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to put the script on this guy, but I'm going to wind up turning this into a prefab anyway. So it's going to be removed from the screen once the coding is done. Alright, so we need, well, like I said before, anything that moves is going to need a speed variable. So that'll be a public, I can't spell, public float speed. And, actually, while I was talking, I put that in the wrong spot, so, yeah. Public float speed. Alright. And that's about it. Yeah, so our projectile can move now. All right, so we're gonna need a speed, and we're gonna need a private transform. We're gonna need a player. So public transform. Damn it. Transform player, and then we're gonna need a. Actually, that should probably be private. Okay, so. Yeah, because we're not gonna we're not gonna be defining anything for this in the inspector. So, and then this will be private vector 2, and that will be target. So this is gonna tell the projectile where to go, and I'm gonna do my normal variable and my normal function thing, just out of habit. Okay, there we go. Alright, and so here we go. We're in the start. So we're gonna have to define the player. So this will be player equals game object find game object with tag, and this will be, of course, player. Right, and that will be dot transform. So this will tell the projectile where the player's location, basically, because in order to shoot me, it's got to find me, right? And then for target will equal new vector 2. Is that new vector 2 or new vector 3? New vector 2. Player dot position dot x, and player dot position dot y. Player dot position dot y. Right. So basically, this first line, this player tells, I actually identify the player in the game. So it's telling me which game object is the player and where that player is at, or where that game object is at, where the transform is at, so that the bullet can find me. Because these bullets are going to actually shoot towards my position. Then I have a target, which is basically a vector 2, and that one's also like, kind of locking in on the x and y value of where my player is kind of standing at the moment, right? And now we've got to go down to the update function, which will be a transform dot position, and that'll equal a vector 2 dot, and we're going to use that magical move towards again. I love that one. I just like typing it. Transform dot position, and this will be target speed times time dot delta time. Okay, so we've already kind of set this target to the player dot position player x and y. So that's why when it updates, it's going to update like every frame to move the projectile in that direction of my where my player was actually standing. It's not gonna, this projectile isn't gonna follow him around the screen though. So it's just going to like lock on that one position where my player is currently standing, and then it's going to shoot out that way. So if my player moves, he doesn't have to worry. It's not like a heat-seeking projectile. It's not going to just like track him all the time until it explodes. You can do that, but I'm not going to. So next will be, we'll need an if statement. Right, and that will be if, if trans, so kind of very similar to the previous code actually. Form dot position, not transformers. Optimus Prime is mad, is mad at me that you can't even spell transform. Position. If transform position dot x equals target dot x, and that will be transform dot position dot y, Okay. So if both of these conditions are correct, like transform position and target position dot x are the same, and the same for the y position, then we'll go ahead and go ahead and destroy the projectile, right? So we're gonna put a destroy right here, destroy projectile. However, like I'm gonna need to create the function for that, so I'll go down here to do that. So we are going to create void, um, destroy projectile. Yeah. So when I'm typing this, you'll notice that it's kind of like a little bit dull. It's a little bit grayed out. That's because it hasn't been used anywhere in the script up here so far. So once I actually use this in the script above, then it'll it'll kind of highlight. So don't worry about that. That's just an indicator that your function hasn't been used yet, or hasn't been called yet. So to destroy this, I'm just going to call destroy game object. Now this is actually just going to destroy the projectile itself, I think. Is that the projectile itself, or is that the player? I don't know. We'll test it. So here I can actually type in my destroy everything projectile. So now I'm actually calling this, and I'm kind of curious to see what that actually does. So so yeah, let's save this. So at the moment, what should happen is the enemy should follow the player and just like randomly start like shooting at him without any buttons like being pressed, right? So it should just chase and shoot based on the time between shots. Yes, I know. Alright, so if you'll notice, I'm still getting this error down here, this red error below the console, and it's telling me that variable projectile of chasing enemy has not been assigned. Well, that's because when I go to the enemy right here, this projectile space is empty, so Unity's pissed. So I need to go up here, and I need to first give my projectile a speed. So notice I haven't given my projectile any damage yet, so I'll give it a speed of like 1 and make it like super fucking slow. Alright, and then I'm going to take this projectile and I'm going to drag it into my prefabs folder. And you'll notice when I drag it into my prefabs folder, it gives me this little blue box that indicates that it is a prefab, which is a reusable object. So I don't have to like create like 110 of these like bullets on these projectiles on the screen just as the player. I can just keep on using the same asset over and over again, which saves a lot on memory space and kind of makes everything much cleaner. Alright, so I'm going to, now that I've created a prefab out of this, I'm going to go ahead and delete this projectile. And there we go. Let's see. So now I can go to my my enemy script, and I couldn't really place. I mean, I could have placed that one bullet, one projectile in here, but then like in the game, it would only shoot one time. So that's why we created a projectile prefab out of this. So with this reusable prefab, it just can keep on calling this one asset and using it over and over and over again, instead of me having to place like 350 of them on the screen. So I'm going to grab this projectile and I'm going to pull it over here. And now I'm going to see if my code works. Right. Yay! Okay, so he's got a 3-second delay, before he can shoot at me. Alright. And, still run through this guy. Right now the projectile isn't really doing anything to me, so it's just kind of destroying itself. But if you notice, if I get close, this thing's just like passing right through me, right? So I'm like taking no damage at all, no heat, nothing, right? However, if I want to change the speed of my projectile, because that is like super slow, right? So I can actually go to this right here, and I can change the speed to something like maybe I'll change this to 3 because 3 is my magic number for everything, right? So. Right, so yeah. So yeah, so it's got like a little bit more of it's got a faster speed. And I mean, this one does kind of disappear quite rapidly, I think. So, you can add like some other stuff to like give it a lifetime, which we'll probably do later. Um, for the enemy as well, I think I want him to like be able to shoot a little bit faster, so I'm gonna drop this down to 1. And also time between shots, I'll drop that down to 1. Right? And then he'll shoot like every 1 second. Okay, yeah. So that's a pretty good chase. Now, of course, we'll have to increase the range and all of that stuff, but I'm not really too worried about it at the moment. Alright, so, now we've got our player, we've got our enemy, we've got our projectile, we have no damage. So we're gonna have to fix that. Let's go back into our script, and, right now this projectile is shooting, but it doesn't actually know what it's shooting. It's just like, just kind of going out there into the world and being like, hello, I'm here, but like there's nothing there for it to really interact with. Or it's interacting with stuff, but it just doesn't it's gonna wake up with a hangover and not remember shit. So, in order to get it to interact with the player, we're going to need to create another function down here. So we're going to actually call a void on trigger. On trigger enter, and this will be on trigger enter 2D because we're making a 2D game here. All right, and I don't really like to put private in that one for some reason. All right, so this will be on trigger enter 2D, and if you'll notice, we don't actually have a trigger at the moment. So I'm going to rename this one to other, because I always name it to other. I don't know why I name it to other, but I always name it to other. Alright, so on trigger enter 2D, and this is like collider 2D other, and that'll be if alright, so if other dot compare tag, and then that will be and that will be player. So basically, this code is checking to see if what the projectile is hitting has a tag of player. So if you'll remember in Unity, we actually gave our player this tag right here. So that helps to identify the player object to the projectile that is pursuing it. Right. So if other player, then destroy projectile is called here. Alright, and why am I getting a... Oh, because I should have a double thing here. Alright. So now let's see if it actually like destroys itself when it hits the player. Okay, yeah. So if you notice, like, it's actually destroying itself as it hits the player, so it's not going past the player. Yeah. So this is good. Okay. So now with the player speed also, I think I'm gonna go back to this, and I noticed that I have this guy kind of hard coded in here. So I've got playing full speed, and that's set for 5F. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out, and that way we can kind of change it in the inspector. For chasing enemy, okay, that should be fine. Now another thing that I'm gonna want to do with this projectile is he's staying on the screen for a relatively short time. So I do want to give him a little bit more of a lifetime, so to where he can actually go further. So I'm going to create a public float, and I'm going to type in lifetime, right? And this will give me the option of adding a float value to extend the life of the projectile on the screen. So in public, I've got, where do I have my invoke at? So I got my update here. Got my destroy projectile here. Alright, so let's see. Check my notes again. Right, so in the start function, right now I just have like a straight up destroy projectile, so you know, it's really, sorry, that's that's my update. So in the start function I have, or in the update function I have a destroy projectile, so I'm going to get rid of that. Instead, in the start function, I'm going to use an invoke. Invoke destroy projectile. And then I'm going to use this lifetime float to give it a little bit of an extended period of time on the screen. Actually, I think I should probably put that down here, though. Oh, let's see if this works. Because right now it's got like, destroy projectile, destroy projectile. Maybe I should put this invoke down here. When it comes to invokes, I'm a little bit shaky on where they're supposed to actually go. So let me put this here. And comment this one out first. And then save. Okay, nope, I screwed up. So this invoke should be in the start, I believe. And then I should still have. But let's see what this effect is. No, actually I haven't even set like, on my projectile I forgot to set the lifetime, so. Right, so now what I will do is I'll go to my prefab here. And let's see, what's the lifetime? I'll put this for something like 10. Okay, so if you'll notice, they're kind of staying on the screen a lot longer than they should. So this would be good for if I was like, you know, creating a game of bombs or something, right? Okay, and they disappear after like 10 seconds, right? Alright, but I'm not gonna want that, so I think I will give them like maybe about like a 5 or something, and let them live that long. Right, and for speed, maybe I will give them a 20. Okay, so yeah, I'll give them something like a little more sensible, like maybe an 8. Okay, yeah, and that kind of works. So, Alright, so now I did all of that when I was in the play mode, but if you'll notice, even when I'm out of the play mode, it still saves. So that's all right. Stopping instance, time between shots. Start time between shots. Projectile. Notice that my projectile is still kind of a little bit short. Speed. So I'll have to investigate that to find out why it's stopping so short. But anyway, that's how you can create a projectile for your game. Speed, lifetime. There shouldn't be anything else that I need for this. Okay, so it should theoretically keep going, but anyway, I'll troubleshoot that one later. All right, so now we've got our player, we've got our enemy, and we can kind of shoot at the player. So what else do we need to do? So I'm gonna check my notes on my phone. I have like a little checklist of shit that I'm supposed to do. So let me go over here and move you out of the way. So click to move, follow player, shooting, and don't have any particle effects on this guy yet. So alright, so I need to add like a little particle effect or something to this projectile. So I'm going to go to effects, particle system. Yay. Alright, and then I'm going to name this let's see, projectile particle. Alright, so projectile particle. And this is pretty good because it gives me a little representation of what it's going to look like. Alright, so duration, I don't want it that long, maybe about like 1. Looping, no looping, but looping for now. So I'll let it loop for the time being, just so I can see what it looks like. Lifetime will be 0.5 maybe. Start speed will be... So you can actually choose a range, and that's what I normally do. So lifetime will be like 0.5 to... Actually, I'll put like 0.25. 0.15. Alright, and start speed. We'll change this one between 2 constants as well, and that'll be like 0.5 to maybe 2. No, 3. Okay, yeah, that'll give it a little bit of a... Yeah, I'll leave it at 5 right here. Sides, start sides. So I normally always use this random between 2 constants because it gives me more variation. So start size will be 0.25 to, or that's 3.5. I typed in 0.25, and I'll give this one a 3. Boom. That's too damn big. 2. Still a little bit big. 1.5. Sold. Alright, and start rotation. We're not going to need rotation because I'm just going to kind of use these particles. Use these graphics. So you wouldn't be able to tell if they're rotating anyway. I'm going to flip rotation. No, don't worry about that. Start color. So we've got our projectile is yellow, so I'll give him a little bit of a yellow splash. So between 2 colors, color number 1 will be light yellow, and color number 2 will be darker yellow. I'm so smart. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so that'll help give a little bit of... I guess I could go ahead and leave this as white. Yeah. That'll give it a little bit of contrast. Okay, gravity modifier. So this is a 2D game, and this is actually top-down view, so I'm not going to need to add any gravity to this. If I added gravity to this, it would like make these guys fall down, which is not what I want. So gravity will be 0. The rest of these, I think I can kind of pretty much get away with leaving alone. Maximum particles, I could be like 10, or like 1,000 is fine. Stop action, calling, anything else that I need? Not really. Play on wake. We'll leave this one checked as well because it should start as soon as this is called. So we'll leave that here. The only other thing that we're going to need to really mess with, I think, is probably the shape. So right now it's a cone shape, which it's kind of funky looking like this. So I think we're gonna change this to donut, or we could go like sphere. Yeah, so sphere, hemisphere. Or I mean, you can even do a circle, but you'd have to rotate that. So it's either gonna be a sphere or a donut. So even with the donut, you would still have to like kind of rotate it. I'm gonna go with a sphere. Yeah, and this will give me a nice little sphere explosion shape. I think I am going to need to increase the particles though. Lifetime. I'll give them a 2. Yeah, 1.5. And then that increases the lifetime, so I'll have to reduce the speed a little bit. Yeah, so this will be fine for now. I mean, for this tutorial, I think. No? Okay, that looks a little bit better. Alright, so this will be, we'll go ahead and stick with this one for now. Alright, so we've got these particles, and what we need to do is we need to add these particles to the projectile. So I am going to go back to my particles and make sure that this doesn't loop, right? Because I want this to be like once it hits the player, boom, and then I don't want it to keep on looping and like hitting the player, basically. Right, so there we go, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna, in my prefabs folder, I'm gonna create another folder, and I'm just gonna like name that one particles, or maybe effects. And so I'm gonna drag this down here into my effects, and there we go. All right, so we've got in my prefab folder, I do tend to create a lot of folders in here as well, so this will be like maybe projectiles. Okay. Yeah, that's just to help me keep things organized a little bit better. Right. So, now in here, you'll notice that we don't really have a space for to put this effect, right? So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to go back into my code, and I'm going to go to my enemy projectile, and at the top of here I'm going to have to put another game object. So this will be a public game object, and this will game object, and this will be destroy effect. Destroy effect. All right. And I'm just going to instantiate this in my destroy projectile. So I'm going to type in instantiate destroy effect transform dot position quaternion identity. Destroy effect. I probably spelled that wrong up here. Yeah, there's no R. Haha. Okay, there we go. Alright, and back into Unity. Alright, so now when the projectile comes out and hits the player, or actually not even hits the player, but when the lifetime or whatever is up, it should destroy itself with that particle effect. So we should see the nice little, and we didn't see shit. Why? Oh, that's because I still have these things set for like 10, I think. Okay, guys, you can disappear now. Oh, never mind. I know why. Because I haven't actually put the destroy effect in here. Ah, so that's why. All right, so let's drag these particles into here, and that'll make a little bit more sense. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, so, if you'll notice that particle effect is lasting a little bit longer than it should. So, I mean, it's nice, but I don't want it to last that long, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the lifetime down to something like 0.2, 0.3, and see how that works. Still too long. Right, and I also noticed that this is not really destroying with the time. Alright, so let's go with 0.1 here and 0.05 here. Because you do kind of want it to just like and then go away. You don't want it kind of lingering around too long. Okay, that's a little bit better for the projectile. I'll also increase the size, I guess. Yeah. So what I can do with this is I can actually increase the size of the projectile. So. Right. And when you do something in the scene view, if you want to like save it, you can override. And there we go. Okay, and let's play. Right, and actually, that's kind of like our basic game, like pretty much done right here. Now, if you'll notice, the reason it's not really colliding with the player is like, I mean, they're coming in contact, but the player is just kind of running right through these things like a boss, right? And the reason for that is because we don't have a rigid body or anything attached to this player, and so like even though the projectiles are hitting him and stuff like that, there is no physics going on with this. So we're going to need to fix that. So on the player, we're going to click on the player here. And we're going to need to give him like two things. We're going to need to give him a rigid body. So we're going to add like a rigid body 2D. And we're going to make that kinematic. And we're also going to need to add a type of collider to him. So we're going to add a circle collider since he's circle collider 2D. And yeah, we're going to make sure that this is as it is. For our rigid body, We're gonna leave him as, I mean, we could put him as dynamic, but we're gonna leave him as kinematic, I think. Alright, no, we're gonna leave him as dynamic. And we're going to take this to 0. Because right now, actually I'll turn that back on to 1. So if we hit play right now, what's going to happen is our player is going to drop right off the face of the earth. Just like this, right? Because like we have gravity applied to it. But we don't want gravity applied to him, so we're just going to switch this to 0. And we're going to do the same thing with this projectile here. We're going to need to add a few things to this. We're going to need to add a rigid body. We're going to need to add a rigid body 2D. And again, this will have like no gravity because we don't want our bullets like just falling off the screen either. And then we're going to also need to add a circle collider 2D because this is also circle. However, the difference between our player and our projectile is that our player here has a circle collider and it's not a trigger. For our projectile, we're going to want this to be a trigger because we want in our script we have an on trigger enter 2D, right? So you know, basically, you know, when the player enters this trigger, that's what's going to trigger the bullet to explode, right? Other than that, you know, it's just going to be sitting there like, hey, there's nothing here for me to hit, and it's just going to pass right through him, right? So we're going to switch this over and turn this into a trigger, and click its trigger, and that should be good enough. So now let's play. And that's why the bullets weren't hitting the player before, by the way. So okay, so now let's see. Boom. All right, so now we're getting some interaction with these bullets that are actually hitting the player. Notice, like, if they don't hit the player, they're not really exploding. But as soon as they, you know, make contact with them, then yeah, they're doing their little dazzler dance here, right? Yeah, so realistically, the player would be taking damage at this point because the bullets have detected that they're actually hitting. Okay, so real effect of enemy projectile has not been assigned. Yes, it has. Leave me alone. Alright, and that's basically the beginning of our game here. So, you know, the other thing that I guess we'll go ahead and do is, you know, right now I'm not really adding anything to the enemy per se, but I guess I'll go ahead and hook him up with a rigid body as well. So, as I mentioned, in this game, the player won't necessarily be able to attack the enemy at the moment. So it's just going to be more evasion. Okay, and then I'll add a box collider. There you go. Alright, and so hold on, make sure I didn't add any gravity to this guy. Okay, good. Alright, so yeah, that's not going to do anything because the player can't really do anything with this enemy at the moment. However, we are going to add one more thing to this. So we're going to add like some obstacles. So I'm going to add maybe another box here. So let's go ahead and get my sprites. Put another square up in here. Go ahead and make it smaller, much smaller. Not that damn small. So, and we're gonna make this one a little bit long. So, and with this square, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a rigid body. So, body 2D, and we're going to make this a static. Also, I'm going to give it a box collider. Collider 2D. And this way our player can kind of bump into it. So this gives us a little bit of an obstacle for our player to kind of have to work his way around. So obstacle 1. And I'm going to change this color to black. Yeah, just because I want it to be black. And so what's going to happen here is when I press play, this black object is not going to move. Instead, it's going to, like, kind of stay stationary. So our player, if our player with a trigger, he would be able to go right through this, right? Like the bullets, they can go through this, right? But our player can't really go through this, so that kind of saves him, or that kind of gives him a little bit of thing that he has to kind of think about. Okay, so if he gets stuck, then he's kind of screwed, right? Right, and for the lifetime of these projectiles, I think I'm going to kind of make them keep going off the screen. Like, you'll notice that the projectiles are stopping, and I kind of don't like that. So for the projectiles, I think I'm going to keep them going. So I'll do a little bit of research on how to do that. But this is my first live stream for game programming. So I think I'm gonna cut it off here because it's a lot longer than I thought. Just kind of explaining some basic concepts. And so I need to get better and faster at explaining these. So yeah, anyway, that is the basis of our game so far, and I will be back probably tomorrow to add on a little bit more to it, okay? So everyone have a good day. I'm going to jump off, play some League of Legends before I go to bed, maybe do some training, and then I will see you guys tomorrow.